our life more pleasant. But I wanted to introduce to some and present to others my acting chief of staff, Donovan Richards, who will introduce the team that we have, the Far Rockaway team. Mr. Richards, would you be kind enough to say hi to these people?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I want to acknowledge a few people who, of course, have made this night possible, and they put a great length of work making sure that they were flying out here and getting bit up by the mosquitoes. So we wanted them to have a first-hand experience. All righty, so that's why we made sure they got out and flying up, and many of you might have got flyers in your mailbox, and we could thank these two. This is Mike Lopes, who is newly joined us. He's been a great asset. So he worked on making sure that we got a commissioner out here, and our other good friend Amico out here who does a lot of work with us. And we have Tri Smith here.
Hello, everyone.
Tri Smith is the go-to person in Far Rockaway. If there's a mosquito on your wall, she's the person you call. If there's a mice under your sink, no. Department of Health actually can deal with mice. And of course, no other than Councilman Sanders, whose vision, of course, of living in the 60s and experience has always made him put money into mosquito spraying. He's done that every year since I think I've been with him. I've been with him almost 8 years. So that's a commitment that he should be commended and applauded on for every year for taking it safe. So I'll let Councilman Sanders lead.
Thank you kindly. Now we're gonna hear a bunch of stuff, and we're going to speak of mosquitoes, and then we're going to open it up for questions. Then later on, after we've dealt with mosquitoes, I can take general stuff. So if your questions are not mosquito or Board of Health related, I'll be kind. Board of Health will widen it because you guys are a little bit more than mosquitoes. There are a lot more than mosquitoes, being the truth is told. But if your question is out of order, please allow me to say, let's come back to it. We'll deal with it a little bit later. Sometimes your question is so specific that it just needs to go to my office, and I will send you to one of these good people so that they could deal with your issue. But I'm anxious to hear from the Department of Health myself. I'm anxious to hear about their plans for dealing with these mosquitoes. I've learned so much in the journey. I've learned that we have brackish water. Brackish water. That means water that is neither salt water or fresh. It's some combination. And for a long time it was felt that mosquitoes, H1N1, no, wait. West Nile. Keep getting mine. There's so much stuff coming at us this day and age. West Nile, for a long time, was not believed that it would go into brackish mosquitoes, but sadly we have found that that's not the case. So I'm anxious on hearing all kinds of stuff, including the how my 50 foul last year was spent. Seemed to me there should be a little bit left over for this year, but that's a different story, and I'm sure will come up in their conversation where we get a proper accounting. Then of course you can talk about how much I put in this year, even if you don't include my 50 foul or what's left of it. So is that all right? We can take it further? If that's the case, I'm going to mess people's names up something for you. I apologize in advance, but in fact, here's how you do it. I'm going to have my assistant commissioner, Mario Merlino. Did I say it right? Boy, I couldn't do it twice. And he, of course, will introduce the people with him, and he will bring us to where we need to be. And I'm going to sit down so I can hear him.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. And we welcome him.
So I'm Mario Merlino. I'm the acting assistant commissioner, what's called in the health department, veterinary pest control services, right? So there's 3 things that I'm responsible for: rats, the West Nile program, which we call vector control, and the vector we're controlling is mosquitoes, right? And also veterinary health, which is dog licensing, and also we manage a contract for the animal shelters. And the reason why I'm bringing all that up is because if you want to talk about those things, like, be happy to talk about those things. I'm joined by Miko Atsubo from our Intergovernmental Affairs Office, and she can talk about the whole rest of the agency. She knows everything else about the agency. So just to update you a little bit about what's going on with West Nile this year, right? And first of all, a little background about what we do in the health department. There's two parts to our program, right? There's the surveillance portion, where we keep tabs on the mosquitoes and try to find out if they're West Nile positive, right? Everybody knows West Nile is a disease. You kind of have, it's a disease of the central nervous system. It's not good to get. Luckily, not very many people actually get full-blown West Nile virus. Last year we had 3 cases in New York, but it's a bad thing to get, and it's carried by mosquitoes. So we have a surveillance program that tests for mosquitoes, and we also have a control program to control mosquitoes, right? And with the way the surveillance works is we have traps all around the city. We trap mosquitoes every night, and we test them for West Nile virus. And the results of those testing is what really drives whether or not we spray. And that's where it gets into the control. The control we do, and I'll kind of go a little bit into an update specifically on the Rockaways, but there's 2 kinds of control that we do. We do adulticiding, which is spraying a pesticide, which is a poison, right, to kill adult mosquitoes. It is a poison. It's not something that is particularly good for people. We do it in a very safe way. So we take a variety of precautions, and we have permits and extensive training for our staff, and our staff are specially trained, and we have state DEC with us and so forth. But we try to limit, the point is to limit the amount of spraying that we do. Then we have what we call larvicide, right? So we try to control the mosquitoes before they hatch into full-blown adult mosquitoes. And the way we do that is by using a bacterial agent like yogurt works, right? You dump that in the water, and it prevents those mosquitoes from hatching. The 2 big things that we do are aerial larviciding, where we broadcast the larvicide out into sort of swampy areas. And then we also do catch basins. So we go to every single catch basin in the city. There are 140,000 of them, 4 times a year, and we put the larvicide in the catch basins. And the larviciding is what we prefer to do. It prevents the mosquitoes from happening and doesn't put as much poison in the atmosphere. We do the spraying as a when our testing, our trapping of the adult mosquitoes indicates that there's actually West Nile virus in the area. We try to do as little as we can in very controlled areas with truck spray. Right, so that's the general program. We also have, I'll give you an update on the Rockaways. The Rockaways is special in the sense that you have a big nuisance mosquito problem, right? And it affects the quality of life here, which we all recognize. So there's a couple of things that we have done. Your councilman has given us funding. We've used that funding to do expanded aerial larviciding here in the Rockaways. This year, we've larvicided. We've done aerial larviciding twice already, including today, in the swampy areas around the Rockaways. We also have what we call mosquito magnets. Right, mosquito magnets are bigger traps for mosquitoes. They trap the mosquitoes in, and they kind of reduce the density of the